Despite their fearsome look and vast size, which startle neighboring swimmers or divers, basking sharks, sometimes known as bone sharks, pose no threat to people or other aquatic creatures. These sharks, much like whales, filter large volumes of ocean water through their teeth to consume plankton and other microorganisms, which are their primary food source. When foraging for food, they may often move around the surface or even float there with their jaws wide open. They are the only shark species outside the great white and the basking shark that subsist only on plankton, making them the second biggest known species of shark. The sharks spend most of the summer months above the surface of the water, swimming very slowly. This behavior resulted in their being given the name basking shark because it gives the impression that they are basking in the warmth of the sun. Although basking sharks are mostly solitary, they have been seen to participate in shoals on occasion. These shoals typically do not include more than a few individuals. Although not much is known about the basking shark's mating behavior, it is known for certain that this species is capable of producing eggs. It is believed that the sharks mate in the early summer, and their gestation period may last anywhere from 12 to 36 months. It is thought that they take a rest in between the births of their litters. Because of this, their rate of reproduction is very low, which makes them more susceptible to extinction than species that reproduce at a higher rate. These gigantic fish go by a variety of names, including bone sharks and elephant sharks, in addition to the more common basking shark, which comes from their habit of drifting lazily around the ocean surface. As a result, the basking shark is one of the largest fish that can be found anywhere in the globe. The species belongs to the Chondrichthyes class of animals, specifically the Cetorhinidae family. Because of its impressive size and several distinguishing characteristics, this species of shark is among those that can be identified by only its outside look the quickest. The length of an adult shark, measured from its snout to its tail, may reach up to 26 feet on average. However, there have been reports of certain individuals reaching lengths of over 40 feet. Their massive stature is complemented by an equivalent bulk, with an average mass of around 8,500 pounds. Their skin might be mottled or pallid, and their coloring can vary from a light brownish gray to practically black. Additionally, their skin may have lighter or darker spots. The gill slits of a basking shark are prominent and run almost the whole length of the animal's body. Gill rakers are filament-like growths along the gills that are fitted to gather plankton from the water that is moving through the openings in the gills. Their gills are equipped with gill rakers. Even though their other anatomical characteristics more or less mirror those of other big shark species, such as the great white, they have a tail fin in the form of a crescent, which is yet another distinctive trait that sets them apart from their more vicious relatives. When these sharks move slowly or float with the tide, they often have their enormous mouths hanging open wide. This allows them to take in the most amount of water possible. Their jaws are crammed full of dozens of rows of small hooked teeth, and the total number of these teeth may easily exceed 1,000. Although they may break the surface of the water and engage in more vigorous swimming when they feel threatened, but their movements and eating are largely unaggressive. The basking shark has a large range that spans broad swaths of both the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans, making it one of the most widely distributed shark species. As a result of their preference for cold to temperate climes, their distribution does not include sites in the Arctic, the Antarctic, or the tropics. Despite this, they can go into tropical seas at some point during their long migration routes, which may cover thousands of kilometers. They are found along the western coasts of both North and South America, as well as along a significant portion of the coastlines of Europe, Australia, and South Africa. Although the species' exact population numbers are unknown and can only be inferred based on geography, environmentalists believe the species to be in an endangered status. It is believed that there are 10,000 individuals in the region of Atlantic Canada, which is one of their most important feeding sites. Even as late as the 1950s, commercial fisheries were responsible for causing a notable fall in populations across the globe, and those populations have not yet recovered. The frequency with which they come into contact with humans, in addition to the very slow maturation process and lengthy gestation time, are the primary contributors to the population drop. The diet of basking sharks is mostly on marine zooplankton, which is a wide variety of microscopic creatures and larvae that are found in ocean water. They tend to be more plentiful close to the surface, where there is exposure to light, or the substrate, where they may soak up some rays. Sharks catch their prey by moving slowly through the water, which forces water into their mouth and gills. When swallowing large amounts of prey, the sharks periodically close their mouths. They are almost immune to wild predators because of their enormous size, but humans pose a significant threat to them. During the 19th and 20th centuries, they were a popular catch for fishermen due to their abundance, passivity, and proximity to the water surface. When basking sharks are getting ready to mate, which typically happens between May and July, they travel into shallow coastal waters. During a single breeding season, one individual may mate with many partners. Researchers have found evidence from both aerial and direct observation that adult sharks engage in intricate courting and mating behaviors. The ceremony may include a mix of synchronized swimming, biting, and nudging. In the wild, basking sharks have been known to live for more than 30 years, and some scientists predict that their longevity might even reach up to 50 years. On the other hand, it is predicted that it takes females 12 to 16 years to develop to the point where they may reproduce successfully. Although information about reproduction in this species is based on very few observations and specimens, experts think that they have a gestation period of around 3 years and give birth to litters of approximately 6 pups at a time. The number of basking sharks throughout the world is dwindling, and the species is now considered to be endangered. The populations of basking sharks in the northeast Atlantic are steady, even though this region is also home to basking sharks that are considered endangered. Because of their extensive depth range and high migratory potential, it is difficult to estimate the total population size of this species. Nevertheless, researchers have reported fewer sightings of the species in many of its original habitats. As a result, the species is deemed endangered and has a significant risk of continuing to decrease. The sluggish pace of maturation and reproduction of the shark, together with its vulnerability to both purposeful and accidental fishing, pose significant challenges to the species' capacity to survive in the long run. Throughout history, basking sharks have been an important supply of raw meat and fish meal, in addition to the leather and oil that can be derived from their skin and livers. Some modern fisheries continue to target them for their fins, which are an essential component of shark fin soup, as well as for different interior components that are coveted in local traditional medicine, notably in Asia. However, several nations have banned fishing altogether as a response to the significant and continuous drop in the population of fish throughout the world. It wasn't until 1995 that the last basking shark fishery in British seas was shut down. Before that, the sharks were fished all across the UK. Since 1998, the fishing of this species has been prohibited in British seas, and since 2007, fishing of this species has been prohibited in the waters of the European Union. These species are afforded a high level of protection in modern times, both in the UK and across a significant portion of their habitat elsewhere in the world. However, they are still targeted in some regions, largely because of the desire for their huge fins in certain parts of Asia. Researchers are worried about the potential danger that basking sharks face from being exposed to microplastics. It is not yet known whether or if swallowing microscopic pieces of plastic after having them filtered out by their gill rakers would have any adverse effects. It has been shown that climate change might impact the distribution of their prey, making it another possible hazard to these animals.